smart ban. It's something that I don't necessarily think was the PowerPoint coming out of G2. We did see Dark Potato missing quite a few impales throughout the early game, giving Team Secret some time to kind of sneak back in it. But they don't want to fool with it. They get rid of it. We do see G2 really respecting the Kestrel. We've heard a lot about this pick over the last couple of weeks. It is very contested highly in team practices and scrimmages and even in ranked. So definitely going to be something to keep an eye out for.
Blackfeather coming out with the Lyra. We've seen a lot more Blackfeather recently. I think he's incredibly strong, can be used to great effect. Paired with the Lyra, you do take an advantage of his natural durability, his ability to stay alive through fights. You sustain that. It looks really good.
Thankfully, Adagio's not available for G2 because Adagio, Lyra, and Blackfeather is kind of a resurfaced version of the Adagio Blackfeather from earlier this year. Very, very strong double heal with Blackfeather's buffs. Really gets him into a tanky position.
Do you think it's also a deny away from Secret, knowing that Adagio was picked up? They feel like they need to take Blackfeather away, or is it just into their own comp?
I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what these teams have been practicing, but we kind of get the peek behind the curtain today. We do see the Fortress, though, coming in.
Yeah, and the whole Team Secret lineup's kind of interesting to me. They're not the team that's been playing a lot of Fortress, and it leads me to wonder, is this perhaps a core Fortress? Is it going to be Roam with a core Adagio? They are one of the teams that's played a lot of Roam Adagio, so I'm kind of leaning towards this is a jungle Fortress.
That very well could be. I mean, this is a very...
Ringo.
It's very good. Now, ring the Rangu. This is a very aggressive comp coming out of Team Secret, too. I mean, Team Secret's always been that slow kind of... We don't necessarily proactively set the pace, but we look for the mistakes that the other team makes, and we capitalize on them, and we pick Finns, we pick scaling comps, we pick things that go well into the late game, and they're trying a lot of early aggression against G2, which I would argue is a team that does a lot of early aggression themselves, so they know how to handle it.
That is a very good point. Now that we're onto the fold, we can see it is indeed Mowgli playing the Roam Fortress with Palmatoro on the jungle Adagio. Should be an interesting game. As Fuji was saying, this is kind of a different look for Team Secret. Let's head on to the Halcyon fold and kick this one off. G2 are 1 win away from advancing to day 2 right off the bat here. We're a bit ahead of schedule. Let's pass it on over to Excoundrel and Sona.
Thank you so much, guys. Sona, we're on to another game between G2 and Team Secret. Now, a slurry of buffs have been given over to some of the heroes we are seeing here, including Blackfeather and Fortress, both of which have had a slight tweak or increase in power from 1.23. Mowgli, though, taking a lot of damage here early on.
That he went for the Law of the Claw rather than the Truth of the Tooth first, so buffs up his teammates' auto attacks, but not getting that bonus buff that we saw in update 123 with it applying auto attacks. Everyone came down, no one's really going to get much out of it. Now, what I want to talk about Excoundrel before we get into the action, because knowing these two teams, it's going to happen pretty darn quickly. Changes to 2 heroes in this game in update 123. The Fortress changes that I passed over really quickly there. And then the Blackfeather changes, which I think we want to focus a little bit more on and just break down for the guys watching at home.
The Blackfeather, he had his focus recharge boosted from 7.5 to 10 per second, so he can regenerate some of his resources that he uses to spend on his abilities more readily. He's on point. His weapon power ratio has gone up to 100% from 80%. That's a 20% increase in potential scaling damage there. And focus cost of Rose Offensive has been dropped by 10. So couple that with the recharge, you're now a bit more ready to jump in and out of the fight with that skill in particular. Just before we want to get on, though, I do want to give a shout out. This is going to be a shout out to my dad and my godfather. They are watching the Vainglory broadcast. Vainglory's biggest #1 fans, Excoundrel Dad and Excoundrel Godfather. So, hello guys. Love you both.
I was expecting a joke at some point, but yeah, hello Kinnan's dad and godfather.
Yeah,
nice to see you guys in chat.
My dad just sent me a Facebook message and asked me to shout him out, so I thought I had to,
Okay, Reddick's going to take some pain from the turret here, has to back away. I haven't seen a huge amount of Lyra support recently, she's still okay, not as strong as she used to be. Palmatoro's going to put a bench of pain down onto Reddick's, and he will have to back away.
So we have the results from the chat vote here. 65% still believing in Team Secret. So there's a lot of fan support for these guys. G2 have done everything to prove them wrong thus far. Can they continue the pressure in this game? Like you said, Roam Lyra, it's still pretty good. The scalings have gone up if you build flat health, as has Roam Adagio, believe it or not, but we won't be seeing that from
Reddick's
Palmatori this
caught
time.
out totally here, puts the Bright Bulwark down, but Mowgli should be able to chase him down. And now Dark Potato's going to have to try and get himself out of this sticky situation. Palmatori is looking for him, will pop the boots. Dark Potato responds with his own. Reddick's still jumping his way around, and actually if Kavalifar comes down, they can take him out. If he doesn't, Resonant Strike's going to hit. Sonic zooms in. What? Kavalifar, he does get the kill. For a second I thought he wasn't going to get that, because he messed up his Sonic zoom. Like, he went straight into the wall, but Kavalifar able to pick up first blood here for Team Secret, and perhaps those guys are watching. That's 65% are actually in the right boat this time.
Yeah, maybe so. Like you said, there have been changes to Fortress so that he is slightly more powerful in the early game and scales considerably well too. So Fortress himself, I don't know if we'll see a massive comeback from him. He had a very specific role where he was generally designed to put pressure early and try and force fights as much as possible. But he's also pretty good in the era when Sky was super popular, because obviously you can block those forward barrages at crucial moments with your ultimate. So we'll have to see how impactful he's going to be. Against the Blackfeather, though, especially with a Blackfeather that's potentially going to go something like a Serpent's Mask eventually, maybe we see Fortress have a pretty defining role in this game.
Oh, definitely. You know, Fortress can be really powerful into a Blackfeather, especially if you're trying to keep the rest of the team from jumping in as well, because there's always a risk with Blackfeather, and there's a certain composition you can build around him, where Blackfeather jumps in with the Rose Offensive and expects the rest of your team to follow up, and the rest of your team can't get to where the Blackfeather is, and you win the game by that. Now, Reddick's going to get caught out a little bit here. He will be able to escape. Dark Potato caught on the wrong side of no man's land. He's behind enemy lines and doesn't really have many places to go. Not 6 yet, doesn't have the Rose Offensive, but does have the dodge. Does he have enough sustain? He doesn't, and he will fall as well. Team Secret on their way to victory. 2-0 over G2. Trying to make it 1-1 in this series. Reddick's going to get caught out once again. Should be able to get himself away with the Imperial Sigil. Does get back towards his turret. Now, Hundor's going to come across as well to try and protect some of this jungle. Really taking that Trient is his main goal there, to stop Team Secret getting all of that back jungle and try and deny them just as much XP as you can, while realizing that you can't fight them straight up.
So I also want to note that Fortress, obviously, with Law of the Claw, applies a mortal wound to his target. Now, if this is going to be Blackfeather with the Serpent's Mask and with the Lyra on top of that, that mortal wound, to burst someone as slippery as Blackfeather and stop him from generating and stop him from being essentially unkillable, that could come into play pretty effectively for both Kavalifar and Palmatoro's ability to burst out the Blackfeather. So keep an eye on where Mowgli ends up using his Law of the Claw, because I think 99% of the time it's going to go on to Blackfeather.
I totally agree, and that's exactly where it should going.
Yeah.
It is going to be Crystal Power Ringo to team up alongside the Weapon Power Blackfeather. Now,
that makes sense, right? Like that makes total sense, because you want to basically, if you throw the Hellfire Brew in, then Blackfeather jumps in with the execute damage as well. It's going to be blowing up a key target like Adagio or Vox.
I think Vox is your main target with that. Reddick's going to get caught out once again. Whoa, down here. Mowgli jumps in to secure that final kill. Now, the Foxes are on the hunt. The Wolves, actually, the attack of the pack. Team Secret looking for something out of this. Hundor gets absolutely melted away, but Mowgli's not close enough to jump in with the Truth of the Tooth and won't be able to actually pick up that kill. They will go for the gold mine, though, and it's a big lead already for Secret. This will be about 2,000 or so gold for them after they take this gold mine down.
Yeah, the important part is they are the ones that are applying to pressure to G2 this time round. The issue is with this composition from G2, it's kind of belying away from where I think their strengths are. I genuinely think that G2's strengths have always been to just punish in the early game, make good rotations, push that first turret quickly, and then just consistently be aggressive and look to make picks and force fights over and over again. G2 are now playing a game where I've always thought Team Secret have been quite strong, which is going to a later stage game where I have a composition where there's going to be some form of team fight that I want to search for, and we have kind of like this plan going into a team fight. But genuinely, I've always felt that that's been one of Team Secret's strongest suits, their ability to coordinate as a team. G2 can't apply as much pressure with a Blackfeather and a Crystal Power Ringo than they could have done with their composition last time, which is why you're seeing Team Secret basically be giving all the time and space in the world here.
Definitely, Cavalifar as well is always really well known for his ability to defensively position in fights, and he's doing that superbly well. We see there, Dark Potato tried to jump on top of him, tried to take down that Vox, but Cavalifar was having none of it, dodged out with the Sonic Zoom, got himself back underneath the turret, and Mowgli was able to get is always able there to get the attack of the pack down and stop the oncoming advance from G2. And unless G2 can find a way to get a flank off or to be able to stick onto that backline, you have to think that Team Secret are going to win out these fights. It's the reason we used to see a lot of Shiver Steel on Blackfeather, because it's the only real way to actually consistently stick on your target.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting that we don't see something like a Shiver Steel coming out here, especially against something like a Vox. I genuinely feel like Vox is one of the targets that if you want to slow him down, it's probably going to be more important to have. But I guess the overall idea here for G2 is that the weapon power scalings are pretty good now and on point. We combine that with the Hellfire Brew, maybe you don't even need that Shiver Steel. It's not going to be less of an elongated fight that you used to see from Blackfeather, and more trying to just execute somebody and then worry about the breaking point stacks afterward. But we'll have to see. Obviously, breaking point is slightly more forgiving for melee now, so this is kind of where you're potentially seeing it go over to Blackfeather.
Possible, definitely part of it. The big lead, though, for Team Secret. They are looking for something here. It's been a while since we've had a bit of action, and I know that because I'm talking way too much, Scoundrel, and hopefully soon I will get to do a little bit more talking myself, but at the moment it seems like that's not the case. Cavalifar building up towards Tyrant's Monocle on this Vox. You've got the Crystal Power coming out from Palmatori, who's going up towards Broken Myth. Big item spike for Team Secret when those second completed items.
Wait, you're talking right now?
Reddick's going to jump in. There we go. Palmatora is the target. Dark Potato goes in, but the burst will be huge here for Palma. Dark Potato getting melted away by Cavalifar here. Hellfire Brew. Dark Potato trying to get himself away. Now Cavalifar, if he can get a couple of resonance bounces here, can absolutely clean up house. But G2 should be able to get at least one member away. Hundor, the last man standing for them. Team Secret take down 2.
Absolutely, there was a beautifully channeled ultimate coming up from Palmatora, who this time, has managed to accelerate his build moderately quickly. He's going towards that Broken Myth. He's already picked up the alternating current, and there is a Crucible, but obviously you can't block all of the damage that comes out from the Verse of Judgment. It is just a huge amount, and the shield will only provide so much for you. So it's a really nicely coordinated fight from Team Secret, and this is kind of what I talked about being Team Secret's strength, is their ability to coordinate as a team and make team fights work for them. And I think G2 are playing into Team Secret's strengths here. Although the Lance went down, maybe there was another option for them to be just as aggressive. This time they are waiting for things to build up. They're waiting to get to a point where you've got late game Blackfeather and late game Crystal Power Ringo, both of which are pretty serviceable. But you probably don't want to force fights until you've hit major item spikes. You probably need another item on the Crystal Power Ringo. You've only got one item on Dark Potato right now, and it's a breaking point, so your weapon power ratios aren't going to be massively high. So if you're going to make fights happen, I think you have to be thinking about a point where a little bit later you've either built up some more defenses to deal with the Verse of Judgment, or you have just more flat damage coming out as well.
Where do you get your flat damage from, though? Because Dark Potato's gone Breaking Point. Obviously, Scale's a little bit easier for melees this patch, so it is a little bit easier for him to use that. But after the Breaking Point, we usually see something like a Shiver Steel to stick, and then Hundor's gone Crystal Power, so it's all about the straight-up burst. Achilles Shot and Twirling Silvers have Crystal Power ratios, but usually it's all about getting that Hellfire Brew down. They're lucky because there's no Crucible coming out from Team Secret, but I don't know if they have enough burst for G2.
I would have thought if he was going to go Shiver Steel, he would have gone it before Breaking Point, but obviously he has got the health in inventory, so there's always a case that he could pick up the Shiver Steel afterwards. But I feel like if you're going to pick up Shiver Steel, you go it early and you try and slow down that target and then take advantage of it there. Going it a little bit later into the game, especially when movement speed has started to be built up with the boots and various tier boots being completed, it just becomes a little bit less effective. I would like to see him potentially go for Serpent's Mask, even though there is a fortress against him. That has been buffed, obviously, a couple of patches ago, so Dark Potato does walk into the enemy team, though, when the fight ensues.
Burst comes down, look at the damage onto Hundor! He absolutely melts off the face of the fold! And G2 have to run away straight away. Holy moly, that burst did absolute work! And they're looking for the turret as well. Team Secret 7-1. They have a Brazilian scoreline over G2 here, and they're looking for their second gold mine of the game.
that can go on in the game, and now Team Secret starting to play like we know that they can. Cavalifar doing a good job of zoning himself, actually going a little bit aggressive, and it's going to force G2, Redix, and Dark Potato back away. 300 gold, the payout here for Team Secret, extending that gold lead up to roughly 5,000 or thereabouts. What can G2 do? I mean, I almost feel like even if as we head into the late game as well, you still have a very strong composition from Team Secret too. You know, Weapon Power Vox is incredibly good in the late game, as is the Crystal Power on the Adagio. You kind of feel like even despite the fact that there's going to be probably more flat burst damage coming out of G2, that they don't really have that outright advantage in the late game. It's not like you get to the late game and you've beaten out a Weapon Power Glaive, for instance. You've still got a very powerful, hard-hitting team coming out from Team Secret who will be able to go toe-to-toe at pretty much any stage in the game.
That they will. Team Secret looking for their second turret. Hundor goes low from Cavalifar, who jumps in. Hundor yet to get himself any armor, sitting on just that little bit of shield in his inventory, but at the moment, Team Secret is doing a superb job of picking their fights, picking their moments, and melting through this G2 lineup.
Yeah, I've also thought of another reason as to why Shiver Steel might have been better first for Blackfeather. It does provide just a good amount of flat health, and you don't actually need a huge amount of weapon power to make Blackfeather effective. He's got that execute damage, you know, it's kind of based on and more than just weapon power. Redix does face check here, and again, Team Secret unrelenting Sona.
Gonna get jumped on once again. Redix just about surviving, but there is a wolf chasing him down. Dark Potato has to run away as well. They just can't survive for long enough for Dark Potato to do his work on that backline. And Team Secret showing them, you know, Palmato getting those heals off, getting that crystal power ratio on towards Cavalifar, getting the Agent of Wrath down as well to absolutely melt through this G2 lineup. G2 really, they need to find a way to get onto that backline without running straight through Mowgli and Palmatoro, because at the moment it's impossible.
Yeah, Mowgli and Palmatoro, the thing is, right, you have Attack of the Pack which comes out, and you kind of feel like you need to deal with those wolves, because they will start to just, you know, land those basic attacks on you, and those will each individually take 3 attacks separately to take down. Then you have the fact that you're going to have huge zonal control coming out from Palmatoro, so Rose Offensive is either going to have to be used to time to block out the Verse of Judgment, and then you're losing its ability to use it to get onto your target. So it's just the way that it's difficult for G2 to actually get to where they need to be and get through all of the obstacles with Cavalifar just sat at the back line. I mean, look at Redix just having to run away with that double Tyrant's Monocle build from Cavalifar now. Really some pain laying down, and Kraken has been taken.
Kraken has been taken. It's a huge lead, absolutely massive lead here for Team Secret. It looks small because it's only 4,000 gold, but they have the late game team and they are ahead as they enter the late game of this matchup. Hellfire Brewer onto Cavalifar. Here comes Dark Potato trying to get on towards that box, but Redix is dead. The burst comes out. Hundor and Dark Potato making a quick retreat. Dark Potato will fall as well. The Kraken still absolutely massive. Huge amounts of health left on that, and Team Secret are looking for the base here now. Kraken's going to push in, take a little bit of damage from that turret as they go forward. Up to that Ringo, up to Hundor by himself. He's all on his lonesome. Can he hold Team Secret back, or will the door be open for them to go into this third game? They're going for the second turret. It will fall. Redix and Hundor, the last man standing here. Dark Potato's going to join them in a second, but the Crystal's going to fall before he even gets there. And Team Secret equalize it at 1-1.
Wow, Team Secret. So, again, just a quick brush down of why this didn't go particularly well for G2. I think it played out of where we've seen them to be strong, which is their ability for Dark Potato to be aggressive in the jungle early on. Blackfeather, whilst he can kind of do that, doesn't really provide any flat CC and doesn't quite have that same role that the Lance was having.